I'm retired news anchor and retired vice president of news from CTV Ottawa. That was 3 years ago after I'd been the 6 o'clock anchor for 37 years. I've actually been a journalist for more than 50. I left home when I was 14. I had my first full-time job when I was 15, working in a newspaper. Then after 5 years in newspaper, worked in radio, then some radio and TV, and came to Ottawa 1965, working first for CFRA. And in 1966, I went to work for the CTV National News. That's the 11 o'clock edition. And in 1972, I switched to the 6 o'clock local news. And now I'm just a retired has-been.
Quel est le fondement Max Keeping et comment avez-vous pu commencer?
The Max Keeping Foundation came about because every day I would see in the news desk, I would either get phone calls or letters, or if I'm out covering a story, I would see there are a lot of young people, a lot of children and kids in the city who didn't have access to just being able to play in a sport, or to dance, or do what most kids do. You know, the foundation started after I tried to personally finance as many kids as I could. Well, and I realized that my lifestyle and my finances didn't allow me to do that. So we set up a foundation, and the idea is we would provide access to kids to sports, recreation, and the arts and education, so that it would be an even playing field. You can't determine into what financial circumstances you're born, and so it's not your fault if your parents don't have money. And so now for 19 years, we've raised more than $1.5 million. We've looked after thousands of kids. Particularly, we discovered camp is an experience that a lot of kids can't afford, and camp is such a learning experience. You learn so many things about coexisting, about teamwork, about leadership. And so in the last year, we actually assisted 500 children. And what we've discovered is that if a young person has the opportunity to play sports or be in a recreation, they stay in school longer, they do better in school, and they make better choices about their lifestyles. So our job as a community is to make sure that every young person has the opportunity to, after school and on weekends, be able to access sports, recreation, homework clubs, something that allows them to be on the same level playing field as kids who have money.
Expliquez le téléthon du CHIO et ce qui est CHIO.
This will actually be the 30th year of the CHIO Telethon. And there's no other telethon in Canada for a children's hospital that's been on the air that long. And I had the privilege of being able to host the first one, and I'm going to be able to be a part of this one. Children's Hospital in Ottawa, it came about because a lot of parents said, I am not going to drive down to Toronto to find health care for my kid. I want a children's hospital in my own city. A group of people, a lot of women, got together and they had coffee clubs. They raised money any way they could, and they got $6 million, and they drove down to Toronto to see the Premier, put the $6 million on the table and said, this is our contribution. We want a children's hospital. And that's how the Children's Hospital came about 40 years ago. We were the first in Canada of children's hospitals to have a telethon. I was just privileged to be a part of that first broadcast. And so being able to tell the message of CHIO through the television, through the newscasts and the telethons was a privilege for me that shaped my life in many ways, because most of the important things I learned in life I learned from kids at the hospital. And so it's been a wonderful relationship, and I've benefited so much.
Qu'est-ce que c'est l'Ordre du Canada et l'Ordre de l'Ontario? Pourquoi avez-vous le reçu?
Order of Canada is the highest award that you can get from your country, and it is given to approximately 160 people a year for contributions that they would make in virtually every sphere of Canadian society. I was recognized for my volunteerism within the community. The Order of Ontario is similar in that it's Ontario. Only 30 people are recognized a year, but again, it's for contributing to the life of the province. I've been recognized and awarded too many times. People don't volunteer, people don't give of themselves to get a plaque or to get a medal to put around their neck. You do it because you're passionate about something, you care about something.
Pouvez-vous expliquer votre bataille avec le cancer?
I had my first journey on cancer 10 years ago with prostate cancer. I successfully beat prostate cancer, and I was actually coincidentally and ironically on my last checkup for prostate cancer in the 9th year when we discovered a new cancer had taken hold in my bowel. And this one was much more severe. It had apparently been growing for some time, and cancers can only really be treated if they're caught very early, and this one wasn't. That required chemotherapy and radiation, and I did 6 weeks of both, and now I'm doing 22 weeks of heavy-duty chemo, and I will have those treatments until September. And even at that, after almost a year of chemotherapy and radiation, there was a 30% chance that my cancer would return. Every day I wake up, that's a good day to dance. Every day I have the opportunity to go out, use it well, party well. Just don't let a day go by that you don't use. And I'm totally determined that cancer will not end me.
Dans tes propres mots, c'est quoi un héros?
Everybody's definition of hero is different. You know, I think a cop and a firefighter and a paramedic, I think they're heroes. Every day they go to work. When they leave for work, their families have no idea if they're coming home. They spend every day putting their lives on the line for us, soldiers, who go off into some of the most dangerous spots in the world. They are heroes to me. I see heroes on the street. A hero can be someone who does major things like that, or a hero can just be somebody who stands up and says to someone who's being picked on, "I'll be your friend." There's a lot of heroes in my life, and interestingly, they're mostly young.